There are few items in the Marvel Universe as powerful as the Infinity Gauntlet, a fact most Marvel fans have grown accustomed to over the last few years in particular. In Avengers Infinity War, the Mad Titan Thanos did the unthinkable and wielded all 6 Infinity Gems to wipe out half the life in the entire universe. I'm still not over it, thanks for asking, making the upcoming Avengers Endgame the most significant release in the Marvel movie calendar thus far. However, in the comics, Thanos was not the only figure to wield the power of all 6 Infinity Gems. Dozens of Marvel characters, heroic or otherwise, have donned the gauntlet in the past, and though few have matched the feat Thanos achieved in 1992's infamous Infinity Gauntlet story arc, each has, in their own way, had to deal with a wide array of consequences after doing so. So, I'm Ewan from What Culture, and here's what happened to everyone who held the Infinity Gauntlet. Number 11, Thanos. Starting things off with the most obvious inclusion, everyone's favourite Mad Titan Thanos wielded the Infinity Gauntlet during the eponymous storyline from 1991. In a bid to pursue Lady Death romantically, Thanos wiped out half the life in the universe before being undone by the surviving Avengers. Unfortunately for Earth's mightiest heroes, the very person who swiped the gauntlet from Thanos ended up being corrupted by its power. More on that in a second, and so they were forced to enlist the Mad Titan in order to take on the gauntlet's new wearer. Thanos didn't end up reclaiming the weapon, but after aiding the heroes in the Infinity Watch, would continue to be just as tyrannical as before, conquering galaxies with the equally sinister Black Order. Currently, in the comics, Thanos isn't doing so well. In the recent Infinity Wars event, the Mad Titan was killed by the figure known as Requiem, who later turned out to be Gamora. All this because he planned to reassemble the gauntlet once again, so not a great idea in the grand scheme of things. Number 10, Nebula. One of several characters to differ dramatically from their depictions in the MCU, Nebula is only a descendant of Thanos in the comics, or so she claims, but nevertheless still managed to wield the power of the Infinity Gauntlet during the aforementioned storyline of the same name. With Earth's mightiest heroes banding together to take on Thanos, and Nebula acting as a member of that coalition, she swipes the gauntlet right under the Mad Titan's nose and seizes control over all 6 Infinity Stones. Unfortunately for Earth's heroes, she has less than benevolent intentions, and instead of resurrecting all those killed in Thanos' love-fueled genocide, decides to embark on a conquest all of her own. Obviously, this doesn't sit well with the surviving heroes, then comprised of Doctor Strange, Adam Warlock, and a few others, including a reluctant Thanos, and so they unite to take her down too. Nebula is eventually undone by her own lack of experience, before one of the assembled group takes control of the gauntlet to right both her wrongs, and Thanos's too. Number 9, Adam Warlock. As far as Marvel heroes go, not many have experienced as big a transformation as Adam Warlock. Warlock was the principal architect of the Infinity Watch, formed in the wake of, yep, you guessed it, 1991's Infinity Gauntlet. Warlock was the next person to wield the weapon after Nebula, ascending to a level of power few in the cosmos could match, but was then asked by the Living Tribunal, the head honcho of the entire Marvel Universe, to divide the gems, because that always works well, with Warlock keeping the Soul Stone for himself due to his connection to the Soul World. Apart from Thanos himself, there isn't a character more intertwined with the destiny of the Gauntlet and the Infinity Gems than Adam Warlock. The Infinity Watch would be called on time and again to stop those looking to control the gems, about as many times as Adam himself would travel between the land of the living and dead, making his tenure with the Gauntlet potentially the most significant of all. Number 8, the Magus. For those who don't know, Magus is literally Adam Warlock's evil half, kind of like Cleary is to Wilborn. There have been several dark versions of the character, but only one has wielded the power of the Gauntlet. In the second part of Starlin's Infinity Saga, Dubbed Infinity War, the Magus acquires a powerless version of the Gauntlet in a confrontation with his do-gooding counterpart. In the ensuing issues, each littered with double-cross after double-cross, Magus finds himself in competition with Warlock, Kang the Conqueror, and Doctor Doom, who he promptly defeats once the Gauntlet is reactivated. Gifted with godlike power, Magus begins subjugating all those who stood against him, including Thanos, before Warlock bests him by unleashing a hybrid version of Eternity and Infinity. He was then confined to the Soul World, but later escaped. Number 7. Iron Man. As told in 2011's Avengers number 12, written by Brian Bendis and with art from John Romita Jr., Klaus Janson, and Dean White, Iron Man wields the power of the Gauntlet in a confrontation with the Hood. Stark doesn't succumb to the power of the weapon though, stating that even though he could, quote, create a world without war, hate, or jealousy, it just wouldn't be the world we live in. Instead, Stark banishes the Hood to prison and seemingly destroys the Gauntlet afterwards. This turns out to not be the case, however, as Stark hands the gems to the Illuminati, who divide them amongst themselves in an effort to ensure no single person could ever wield the Gauntlet's power ever again. Number 6. Mr. Fantastic. An exception for those who have wielded the Gauntlet, Mr. Fantastic did so only that he could attempt to will the Infinity Gems themselves out of existence, after having tracked each stone down with the assistance of the Illuminati. Unfortunately for Reed Richards, his plan doesn't work. The gems themselves cannot be destroyed by the Gauntlet, and so he resolves to never again use the weapon, and instead divvies up the rest of the stones to his cohorts. Shenanigans ensue, and the Illuminati find themselves at the center of Thanos and the Black Order's conquest of the galaxy in 2013's Infinity. Number 5. Black Panther. Back in 2015, Doctor Doom sort of sent the entire Marvel Universe into a state of pandemonium. Dubbed Secret Wars in an effort to rekindle the epic connotations of Marvel's original crossover from 1984, the event saw Doom remake the Marvel mythos in his own image, which would eventually lead to the destruction of the Ultimate Universe and the arrival of Miles Morales to Marvel's main 616 continuity. In the 6th issue of the series, Black Panther and Namor find an old lair left behind by Doctor Strange, who is presumed dead. It turns out that Strange had left behind a gauntlet for Black Panther to wield, thus enabling the King of Wakanda to reverse the grievous harm Doom had wrought on the time stream, having acquired the powers of the Beyonder. T'Challa overpowers Doom with the gauntlet before travelling back to the past to put an end to all the alternate reality incursions that had kick-started Jonathan Hickman's tenure on the New Avengers. Number 4. Doctor Doom. Jonathan Hickman's run on Fantastic Four was brilliant, but it was perhaps at its best when the focus shifted to the Future Foundation, created in the wake of Johnny Storm's quote-unquote death, when the surviving members, plus Spider-Man, donned all white outfits. The storyline saw Doom foster an uneasy alliance with the team, with Reed Richards battling against an interdimensional council comprised of evil versions of himself, before he was seemingly murdered by the Celestials. Regenerating in an unknown location and spoken to by Valeria Richards, Doom is gifted with 2 Infinity Gauntlets from different dimensions and proceeds to create a mirror image of Richards' band of evil Reeds, dubbed the Parliament of Doom, albeit for slightly more benevolent intentions. All this doesn't really matter though, does it? It's Doctor Doom with 2 Infinity Gauntlets. What's not to love? Number 3. Deadpool. In 2012's Deadpool number 45, the Merc with a Mouth is reimagined during the early 90s. The story itself sees Thanos, early in his quest to win Lady Death's affections, hire Deadpool to steal the Infinity Gauntlet. Wade obliges, but not before he can have a bit of fun with the device. He takes a ride in Thanos' helicopter before pulling a switcheroo and giving him a plastic toy instead. Wade then organises a massive roast in his own honour, with most of Marvel's heroes in attendance. Classic Deadpool. Number 2. Captain America. Out of all Earth's heroes, Captain America was always the likeliest to bear the responsibility of the Infinity Gauntlet. He possesses the strongest will, and out of all the Avengers, is easily the figure one could trust the most to not mess up all of reality with the power of the universe at his fingertips. But when exactly does he wield the Infinity Gauntlet? Surprise, it's another Hickman book, one that took place in the build-up to 2013's Infinity, dubbed New Avengers. The book was all about the Illuminati and sees the group attempt to stop a smattering of alternate realities from encroaching into the 616 universe. Unfortunately for their Earth, it was next on the agenda. During an incursion that threatened to destroy 616 Earth, Steve Rogers is handed control of all 6 Infinity Gems by his colleagues, which he uses to will the other Earth away, or at least tries to do so. The task proves too great for both the Gauntlet and the Gems, with all destroyed in the process save for the Time Stone itself. With incursions escalating by the day and with no other options at their disposal, the team elect to fashion a doomsday weapon to destroy the other Earth. As you may have predicted, the Star-Spangled Man with a plan refuses to go along with the plot, which leads to the rest of the Illuminati kicking him out of the group by wiping his mind. Number 1. Ultimate Hulk. In the Ultimate Universe, none other than the Hulk gets his mitts on the Infinity Gauntlet, but not just one of them. You see, there are 8 Infinity Gems in that reality, and 2 Gauntlets to go along with it, and the Hulk wields both in a battle against the Ultimates, that reality's analogue for Earth's mightiest heroes. Fortunately for Iron Man et al., Hulk was unable to possess all 8 Infinity Gems and thus was still vulnerable. The group are still unsuccessful in their attempts to apprehend Banner though, with the character linking up with the Dark Ultimates in a bid to remake all reality in their image. Their attempt fails in the end, but still, out of all the characters to have wielded the Gauntlet, Hulk may just be the best.